This is hard for me to do, and believe me, I would have been like everyone else who has seen the violence in Charlottesville, and they've all reacted. But let me clarify a few things. All right, the reason for the protests in the first place by the Unite the Right, it was to keep the statue of Robert E. Lee standing. Robert E. Lee, a Virginian who also was a Confederate, was scheduled to take down because of all the backlash and having all these Confederate statues going down in the South. There were a few of them that have fallen, so let's get that out of the way. Yeah, and look, I understand. This is a protest that a lot of people would have acknowledged. That would have been okay. I mean, we understand what you're going through, and listen to what we have to say. We'll listen to what you have to say, and we can come to an agreement. But no, instead, Unite the Right had all these tiki torches. They gathered white nationalists, Ku Klux Klan, neo-Nazis. They have all these torches out here. They're flying. They're waving around. They're trying to start fires. No, they're not trying to start fires. They already have the fires, by the way. A lot of saliva in my mouth. I don't know why. So, in response, we had counter-protesters. And they're the ones who said, hey, don't terrorize our city. Don't terrorize our state. And that's where all this clashing comes in. This is where all the clashing, all the violence comes in. Unite the Right was heavily armed. In response, the counter-protesters, the ones who a lot of people are going to like alt-left or uber liberals because of they were armed too. So now I see both sides of the argument. I see why a lot of people are going like, the left is to blame. The right is to blame. They're both to blame. This is one of those rare occurrences where I'm going like, we should look at this a little closer. And I've had discussions with family. I have many videos being seen about this, and to be blunt, yeah, both sides are to blame. The Unite the Right for inciting the violence, and the counter-protesters for falling into this trap and to engage in violence. You had fires, you had flamethrowers being used, which is clever, but let's put it this way, dangerous. And for the most part, there's no one else to blame but themselves. This was all a part of trying to protect the statue of Robert E. Lee. And a lot of people are going like, this is, these liberals are trying to rewrite history. I don't think they're trying to rewrite history as well as you think. What I think should happen is that the statue of Robert E. Lee should be in a museum for all to see, for all to learn. Now, I'm not saying that Robert E. Lee was perfect. I mean, a Virginian who became a Confederate, but that's beside the point. If Robert E. Lee was going to be taken down, it was going to be taken down and then placed somewhere else. I think no one would have been arguing about that. But as I said, both sides are to blame. There are no winners. Let's break it down like this. For the counter-protesters, they've had 19 people injured, one killed by a Nazi enthusiast, I would point out. I mean, one that has violently attacked his own mother. And they're going through a lot of the pain that, we would have been through ourselves. Charlottesville was ruined because of these two, and now these people, these counter-protesters, are going to have to pay for the damages because they helped incite the violence. Now, the white supremacists, Ku Klux Klan, they're not getting off scot-free. As a matter of fact, we have, of course, James Fields Jr., who is now being charged with second-degree murder, could spend at least 25 years in prison for that crime, for inciting this, for causing harm. I'm surprised it wasn't first-degree murder. I'm surprised it wasn't premeditated. It was intentional, by the way. That one I won't argue. You've had people being called out for having their faces shown with waving the Nazis and Confederate flags. You've had people losing their jobs. You've had one father who's disowned his own son for going to this rally. Not to mention all the people getting all these death threats online. I probably mentioned it already, but just to clarify. Now, Trump, to some of his credit, did say that this violence needed to stop. However, how he came out with it was just weak. Oh, many sides are blamed. Many sides. There are many sides to a loaf of bread. I mean, this is a banana bread with chocolate chips in it, which is really good. There are many sides to a dice. There are many sides to a book. There are no many sides to people. It's one side being the counter-protesters, it's the other side being the Unite the Right. Where are there many sides? It took him a few days to clarify who he needed to call out, and still, he didn't call out the major violent groups. And you had people online. You had the Daily Stormer going like, "Oh, he didn't call us out! Yay, good job!" You had David Duke, former Rand Wizard, going like, "Thank you. You know the white people are the ones who brought you into this office." And you've had other white supremacists going praising Trump because he didn't call them out immediately. He did call them out, and they were going like, so like I said, to Donald Trump's point, both there were both many sides. Well, the many sides we could leave out, but both sides are to blame. However, there are some things that I will not take back, including repeating what Governor McCarthy of Virginia had to say, putting in that the United the Right had wasted their time and wasted their energy. They should have done, if they wanted to get active, they could have given people home. They could have they could have made food for the homeless. They could have given them homes or built them homes. Instead, they had to go off to chase a statue and protect it. And protect it with violence. So now I'm going to ask you guys, who's the real winner? Because the way I see it, both sides lost. One side lost people, other side lost their personalities. So who won? I'm waiting in the comments.